Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. It's a brand new week, so that means a brand new issue, and today it's issue 16, so a paint issue, but we do get two rather nice paints. So Mephiston Red, which is a beautiful rich bright red, and we also get Squig Orange, which is used in some very odd ways, I guess, used on some of the softer flesh on some of the Tyranid models. Not the colour I'd have used, but yeah, it does actually work on the finished results. Yeah, so we'll have our paint tutorial for that. I've got my usual culprits, the Space Marine Captain and Tyranid Prime, ready to go, plus a termagant just to show how to paint one of their guns. Lore-wise, we have a bit about Ultramarines, a bit about Leviathan, and Sergeant Askerton's journey continues, and then our play tutorial introduces some new special abilities as we get to finally field our Psychophage. So here are the paints in question: Mephiston Red and Squig Orange. As I said, Mephiston Red is a beautiful rich red, and Squig Orange is a kind of pinky orange, very dark, sort of tanned skin, with hints of red and orange, yellow to it, obviously to make it the orange. Yeah, we had this with Mortal Realms, Stormbringer, which we used to highlight our squigs that we had on the squig side. So it's a bit of an odd choice for it being in this collection. I don't see it getting used on a lot of armies. Maybe later on when we start highlighting, I can certainly see it being used to highlight the lenses on our Space Marines. But yeah, we'll have a look at the tutorials in just a sec as we hit the table. But before we do, don't forget to do all the usual: like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you, and as we are now into 2025, let me know what your new year, new hobby resolutions are. Mine, I've made a joking one to my group as of today, which was to paint 2025 models. I don't know if I'll get that done, but it'd be nice to see if I could. Really though, I just want to try and clear some of my backlog. And yeah, try not to get drawn into too much. I have a few projects I have planned. Obviously expanding my Krieg force. Emperor's Children when that comes out. But yeah, hopefully though the rest of the releases for next year aren't that big of a draw to me, and I can focus on some of my older projects. There is rumoured of a Grey Knight release at some point next year, or this year, so to say. So yeah, I definitely will be getting behind that. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They have a great selection of new and used models for various different armies and game systems. They also stock painting supplies, gaming aids such as dice and tokens, and a backlog of partwork magazines, and they also stock Combat Patrol if you want some extra issues. So check them out, there's a link for them in the video description, and who knows, you might find your next hobby project at a bit of a discount. So let's head to the table and we'll update our models with our two new paints. Here we are, issue 16 kicking off, and we have our two new paints. So Mephiston Red and Squig Orange. Very odd to get a layer paint in the early set of issues, but it's a welcome addition to the collection. And Mephiston Red, though, is an awesome base coat, and we're using it on quite a few of our Space Marine models. So yeah, can't wait to put this guy to use. Squig Orange is used currently at the moment just on our Tyranids. We got the tendrils on the Leapers to do, the wings on the Prime, and the guns on our Termagants. So let's have a look through the magazine and I'll show you how these paints are put to use. So before we bring in the desk, let's take a look through our issue. So first off, Paint Guide 11, how to use Mephiston Red and Squig Orange. Read articles, so we got pages for the Ultramarines, Bonds of Honor Part 4, and looking at Leviathan. And finally, we have our play articles, so looking at special abilities, focusing on our Psychophage from last issue. And we have our scenario, the Psycho Eater, where we put our Psychophage through its first battle. Alright then, moving on to our paint article. So this issue you receive 2 new paints, Mephiston Red and Squig Orange. Mephiston Red is a bright red that's great for eye-catching details such as helmet lenses, gun sights, and capes. Meanwhile, Squig Orange is perfect for fleshy organic detail found on your Tyranid miniatures. So for most of the models, we're using Mephiston Red to pick out a lot of the details that we've yet to touch. So for our captain, we're looking at the outer edging of his cape, picking that all out. Well, a good couple of layers on that over the blue. Any gems on the Crux Terminatus, so there's one on him and there's one on the Terminator Sergeant as well to pick out. Picking those out with a coat of Mephiston Red. On our Librarian, we've got all the solid cables. They're being picked out with this colour. As we know, we're getting Avalanche Sunset soon. That'll be used on the ribbed cables there. Next up then, all our weapon grips. So these are on the Librarian's Force Axe, the Captain's Power Sword, as well as our Sergeant's Power Sword there for the Terminator Squad. And you can see there he's gem, but they haven't actually picked it out. But yeah, make sure you do pick that out. Also, red, we're going to be painting all our Sergeant helmets. So we got the Terminator Squad, the Infernus Marine, if you've built this guy, and the Special Infernus Marine Sergeant as well. So yeah, looking really good, adding a lot of detail. On all our other Space Marine models, so we're using Mephiston Red to pick out the eye lenses on our Infernus Marines Terminators, the beacon on top of the Teleport Homer, and the lens on the Assault Cannon. Kind of odd we haven't picked out the top lenses on all our Terminators yet, but maybe in a future issue we'll do some small picking out details. I do think that when we get the Orc skin colour in a later issue, I think we're going to be doing some lenses and stuff with that, especially the Sergeant lenses on his helmet. But yeah, I mean, Calaran green would have been a better green to add to our collection. And then we have a completed gallery of our models so far, so you can check. Oh, chocolate from my paint desk on here somehow. So yeah, just check all your models. So there's gem on his knee, leg, as well as on his shoulder pad. Again, they still haven't painted the one on this guy, unless we're going to do it in a different colour for the Sergeant. But I've done mine anyway. And yeah, you can see the colour, the cape, lovely fit, bright colouring there, nicely covered for a change. And we've got stuff like the grip on the axe picked out as well. So yeah, our models are certainly looking a lot better. The coats are a little thin on the Terminator and the Infernus Sergeant helmets. Where the grills are at the front, you can still see a bit of blue showing through, so they haven't got the best of coverage. But yeah, still, the rest of the models are looking really good. Moving on to our Tyranids, so we are using both colours because we use Mephiston Red here on our barb gaunts and their barb launchers. And for the rest of our Tyranid models, so we're picking out the membranes on the wings of the Tyranid Prime. So luckily for me, I have these loose and I can just take them off and reach all the details. For our Termagants, we're painting all the guns, leaving the eye, fingers, the ammunition and the feeder tubes at the back, the Wraith Bone for the moment, and trying to avoid the carapace on the gun as well. I did have to go back in with some Abaddon Black afterwards and touch up. And Squig Orange is used on the tendrils for our Vulnerized Leapers, and again I had to go back in and tidy up the claws at the ends of some of the tendrils. And when you paint the Mephiston Red on barb gaunts, you just want to be careful around the fingers, the eyes here and here. There's 2 sets of 2s on the back end and the one there. One bit I did paint over was the tip of the actual barb at the front there. I can easily pick that out afterwards. And there's our finished gallery of all our models. So with that, let's bring in my paint desk and we'll put our 2 new paints to use on our models. So here we are, ready to paint our models. As you can see, I've took the arms off my captain. I've just left them to the side so we can focus on the cape for the moment. So give Mephiston Red a good shape and throw my brushes away apparently. Oh, I don't think I'll actually need the starter brush. I got my small layer there. So I'll crack that open and look at that. That is a beautiful red. So using a base brush from issue 10, we can get some of this paint ready on our palette before we apply it to our captain. So bringing our captain here, as I said, I've removed the arms so we can reach all the detail better. So we got right up underneath the armpit there. Bring it all the way down to the bottom of the cape. The less brush strokes you need to make, the smoother the coat you'll get. But yeah, just do this all over our cape, and we'll probably need 2, maybe even 3 coats. So while waiting for that cape's first layer to dry, we'll bring in the arms and we'll pick out the small details we've got to do here. So on this one, we got that, I get the focus. I don't want to, there's too much going on. Yeah, we got that gem just at the bottom there of the Crux Terminatus to pick out. So yeah, it should look a bit like that. And then on our Captain's Power Sword here, we've got the grip that isn't gold detailing. So up between the fingers there, and all the way around the bottom of the sword, around the pommel. It should look something like that. Now the first layer is pretty much dry. We can start working on the second. Working into all the nooks and crannies. So we'll leave that to dry and we'll move on to our Tyranid models. So just like the captain, I've pulled the needed components off so we can access all the areas. So now we want Squig Orange, and luckily we can get away with 1 coat over this. Maybe might need a second on the larger wings. But on my previous models, I was lucky to get away with the 1 coat. So let's have a look. Let's see how we go. So we'll get some of this prepared. The good thing about being a layer paint, we don't need to add as much water as we would with a base paint. So we can get a nice smooth mix quite easily. So if we bring in the Winged Prime's wings, we use the layer medium base brush again. So we just need to try and get into that corner. Again, just with the cape, if we can get a single smooth brush stroke, it will mean saving going over it multiple times and leaving multiple brush strokes. Yeah, make sure we do both sides of the wing. Like so. And we want to make sure we get this bit up here as well. There we have our Tyranid Prime updated, and you can see I've got both sides of the wings. Might need to go back and with some Wraith Bone to tidy up there. But other than that, got a pretty good coat in just about one coat. I just had to go over a few areas where the paint kind of pulled away from the base coat, but yeah. There we go. It does look a little more pinker on camera than it does in real life. There's a bit more on the orangey side in real life, but yeah, it looks really good. Now I'll show you how to paint the gun on the Termagant. There we go, a little bit more focused, kind of. It's really being a pain to focus, especially in this zoomed out state. I think I might definitely go back to doing normal for the paint videos. But on our Termagant here, we want to paint the flesh of the gun. Being careful around those areas we want to keep Wraithbone or black. Hardest part to reach will be the ammo up underneath there. Just turn your model upside down, I find, is the best bet. There we have the flesh borer updated. And yeah, looks pretty good. Any spillages, just go back over with your previous colours. And with that, I think our paint guides are complete and updated. So I'll see you back at the magazine. So here we are back with our updated models. Terminator Captain there. That red now looking good. Had to go back and do a third layer. But yeah, red is looking really good now. Got a few areas I need to go back and tidy up from previous paint jobs, but I can do that one day when I've got everything on my desk. And there's the Prime again of its wings all picked out. And our Termagant with his flesh borer. So yeah, that's how we apply Mephiston Red and Squig Orange to our models. I hope you found this tutorial very useful. Make sure you do apply this, of course, to all the models that need these paints applied to. And have a good check of the gallery towards the end of each guide, just so you can make sure you've not missed any detail. So there we have it. That is the first video for issue 16 done. Up next, we got a trio of lore pages, well, 2 lore and our short story continuation. And then we'll be able to put our Psychophage, who is just off camera, to use in our latest battle. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Combat Patrol Carnage, and I will see you next time for more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.